Education Council has spent 30 years exciting Guam's youth about our tourism industry. Tomorrow you can celebrate with them at a special live art, food, and wine pairing event. With us is Amanda Blas from TEC and Baltasar Bell, a featured artist. How you both doing today?
We're doing great.
Great, thank you.
So 3 decades celebrating that at the same time, having this event. Tell us about it.
Sure. So the Tourism Education Council was started 30 years ago when Guam's tourism industry was really picking up. It was started by Governor Atta, and it was a public-private partnership. So of course it included tourism pioneers like Bird and Pinko, and DFS at the time, and a couple of other private and public partners. It's grown tremendously. We now have hundreds of students participating. I believe we have at least 20 schools who participate as well. And we support the Wave Clubs, which most people would recognize as the Welcome All Visitors Enthusiastically Club.
Yeah, and so what can people expect here? Of course, artwork, right, Baltasar?
Of course.
All right, so tell us about some of the things that people can expect tomorrow if they show up.
Sure. So because it's the 30th anniversary and obviously TEC started in the 80s, the theme is let's take it back to the 80s. So you'll see a lot of 80s themes. I do want to hint, we just saw some of the decorations, and there will be a lot of Rubik's Cubes present, some giant ones, so that'll be fun. One of the highlights is the live art. Baltasar is one of our great live artists. Last year was the first year we did it. We started with Nadine Fawn, Mendiola, and so now we have great other artists who are joining us, and maybe Baltasar can tell us more about what he'll be sharing.
Yeah, how does that work, Baltasar? If you could share with us when they hear live art, what does that mean?
Well, it can mean a lot of things, of course, but in cases like this, it's going to be painting. Like there'll be the bulk of the work will be done that night during the event, and I speak for myself. I get a lot more productive when there are other people around and I kind of feed off that energy. Okay. I can stay focused and also kind of feed off the crowd, perhaps even take some suggestions as far as what to paint. Because I am going to go along with a theme, something totally radical in the 80s. Okay. I grew up in the 80s myself, and the theme will give me opportunities to do some of the more fun styles that I've been and kind of looking for an excuse to do. So yeah, some live paint and in that retro style.
Definitely a great way to get the interaction going as they go about trying all the different food and wine that will be there as well. Can you talk a little bit about everyone involved?
Sure. So we have some great sponsors. Also, I do want to highlight that we just heard that we'll have some special entertainment from the kids from Chuk, so that will be a great treat. We also have some live auctions, and we have a silent auction as well. I know some of the prizes I was looking at earlier. We have a couple of Kate Spade purses. We have some art from great artists on Guam, so we're definitely looking forward to that. And you'll be treated to different wines from our different wine partners.
Yeah, so get your fill in, get your art in. And so if people want to get involved, where do they need to go? Who do they need to contact?
Sure, they can actually contact Heidi Ballendorf at 687-4505, and they can join us tomorrow at the Guam Museum from 6 to 10 p.m. So if you call Heidi at 687-4505, tickets will be $60. At the door, they'll be $75.
And then what does all of this go, just remind our viewers here, what all this goes towards?
Sure, so it actually goes to supporting the WAVE Clubs, which the Tourism Education Council supports. As I mentioned earlier, WAVE stands for Welcome All Visitors Enthusiastically. Some of the projects they've done is there's a lot of creative ways that they've shown that you can welcome visitors, from visiting farmers and fishermen to see how we can share our local culture and how we can incorporate that into the tourism, and it supports field trips and things like that. But one of the notable projects that this fundraiser will support is the Youth Expo, and we had the first one this year. It was similar to a TED Talk, specifically centered on youth, and there was quite a number of youth, and we're hoping to continue that project.
Great. And how's the feedback been since you guys announced that you will be putting us on? How's the response been from the community?
For the Youth Expo, it's been definitely a good response. I know that many of us have heard of TED Talks, seen the excitement, and to see that we're doing something similar for our youth is great. We had some great people involved. I know one of them was Meta Sarmiento. Many would recognize him as a youth poet who in spoken word, and he was a great speaker. And like I said, it's very inspirational, and I think that was the whole point, to empower the youth and then see how you can use your talents on Guam, especially to welcome our visitors.
Yeah, and speaking of these, Baltasar, if you could just expound a little bit about the interaction that, especially when teaching our younger generation about live art and the like. Can you just talk a little bit about how that's been for you working with, or have you had that experience to work with our youth when it comes to the arts?
Well, thank you for asking. Actually, I have been an art teacher here for the GDOE. Taught a year and a half of art in the middle school at Union Middle, and also ESL, English as a Second Language. So, though I'm a full freelancer now, I do occasionally volunteer to give little workshops to children on how to draw. Like, my particular strength in art is illustration. So the way their eyes light up when I show them something, like, oh, okay, now I get it. What you do, and it reminds me of how I learned. So even if people at the fundraiser, if they're adults, if they want to, I could even do like little mini lessons on some of my techniques, because I've been an artist since I was a little kid, been inspired by adults trying to do what they do, but on my own take on it. So yeah, kids are great.
Great.
That's when we all start off as artists as kids. The ones that end up doing professionally just never stop.
Definitely a takeaway of all sorts that they'll be seeing at this event tomorrow. Is there anything else that I didn't ask Amanda that you'd like to add?
Sure. Well, this is the 13th annual wine and food pairing that the TEC has put on, but this will also be the last. So it's definitely an event you don't want to miss.
All right. We'll see you at the Guam Museum tomorrow.
Yes, we will.
Thank you both. Well, stay tuned. KUBE News Extra continues after the break.